Thanks so much, Dave, for having me. And I'm just honored to be here with you and Friends of the Family. What a great organization. And you guys are absolutely focused on what is truly the greatest challenge of our time. And you look at what's going on in the world, you look at one crisis following another crisis. And no matter what the social ill or domestic challenge we face as a nation, all of them have their origins in the crisis that is in the American soul, and that is fundamentally a crisis of faith and a crisis of family. Some folks see this as a two-pronged crisis. What I'm here to tell you is that the crisis of faith is very much the result of the crisis of the family, and that's what the data has overwhelmingly shown, that the collapse of marriage and the collapse of family has preceded and fueled the crisis in faith and the decline of faith in Jesus Christ. Now, you can look at this data in a number of different ways. Since the year 2000, the number of people getting married each and every year has plummeted by 31%. You go back to the year 1970, and there's 61% fewer people getting married each and every year. To put this in a perspective, in 1970, there were 40% of all households were married households with children under the age of 18 living in it. Today, according to the US Census, there are only 17.8% of all households that are married households with children under the age of 18. Now, the number of children being raised in homes without married parents continues to climb. 54% of all children will reach their 17th birthday without constantly married parents. This is fuels so many of our challenges for our youth, whether that be drug use, crime, suicidal ideation, poverty. This collapse of the family has fueled poverty of all sorts. Nearly half of Americans report sometimes or always feeling alone or left out. Just half of Americans have meaningful in-person social interactions on a daily basis. Gen Z, based on the polling and their own survey reporting, are the loneliest generation that has ever been measured. Why this matters is that loneliness. The U.S. Surgeon General has said that America is beset by an epidemic of loneliness, even before COVID. This was such a great growing problem in the West that in the United Kingdom, they actually created a cabinet minister for loneliness. If you are lonely, based on this research, is the public health equivalent of shortening your life by smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Now, the decline in the family does not only affect culture and society, it fuels the collapse of the church. Okay, we know that millennials are amongst the most religiously non-affiliated, meaning they hold no faith. They report having no faith, more so than any of the prior generations. And Gen Z is right there with them. But it might surprise you to know that a millennial goes to church each and every week at the same rate as a baby boomer, if I know one thing about the boomer and one thing about the millennial. If they both grew up in a constantly married home, there's no difference in how frequently they go to church. A millennial from a constantly married home is just about twice as likely to go to church every week than one who's not. What all this means is what's changed over the last 60 years is family structure. And as the family structure has changed, it's fueled the apostasy and the collapse of faith in our country, in Jesus Christ within our country. In many ways, our churches would largely be full today if Generation X, Gen X, Millennial, and Gen Z enjoyed the same family structure as baby boomers did in their homes growing up. Now, consider this. Right now in America, 85%, this is data that Communio collected with a survey we did with the Barna Group. 85% of churches in America reported to us that they spend $0 annually on marriage and relationship ministry. What that means is that the greatest battle of our time is unrolling before us, okay? and the church hasn't left the locker room. Where the other team is running up the score, and we haven't taken the field. I see this as great news. I am not a cultural fatalist, and I know you're not if you're here with friends of the family. That that the church can be the change agent in our culture, and right now the church just is not yet engaged strategically in this great battle of our time. That's why I'm just so incredibly excited about what Friends of the Family has been able to do over the recent decades. Communio is just excited to be able to follow you and cheer you on, and we do hope one day to be able to serve you in your ministry.